Chain wallet? Why not? Spike jacket? Sure. Brass knuckles? Whatever. What's going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. My name is Mark Jackson, and I am your host. This week, today, we have a little bit of a different band here. We have, I don't know, you're not really metal, but I'd say you're hard rock with a razor edge.
I like it.
I mean, because you get like the hardcore rocking and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a little bit of eclecticness in the guitar playing because there's a nice big G1275 being used. That big nice double neck guitar. I love them. But the band that we have this week, Black Rose Rebellion from New Jersey. How are we? Go ahead and tell everybody who you are. Who are we talking to today?
All right, so I'm Bree. I'm the vocals and co-write alongside Dave the RockDoc over here.
Hell yeah, hell yeah! I see Dave's rocking the rings too.
You got it.
Devils with the iron fist, as they say, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah. And Bree, thank you for coming to the show as well. Looks like you all have some nice weather out there. It looks like you're sitting on your porch and enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm sitting on my porch because my air conditioner is out and it is like 100 degrees.
Oh shit, that's
and we have some thunderstorms creeping in. Yeah, so I'm on my porch trying to breathe.
Wow.
I got my kids and my dog up in a room with a window unit because the AC's out.
Wow.
But hey, we do what we gotta do.
You're right, and that's the whole thing is like, this show is pretty much about people more than it is music. Yeah, the music is what brings us all together, but like, I think this show is more about people and meeting people and the culture behind the heavy music. And you just said it. We do what we have to do. We're not living in some fucking high-rise tower somewhere. We're out here roughing it, doing what we have to do, which is pretty what metal is anyways. Is sticking it to the man, doing it for what you can do, and just going on.
Yep. And you know what? I'm fortunate to have a house with an air conditioner to go out. So that's how I'm looking at it, Listen, everything I have in my life, I worked hard for. Dave the same. True. And so, whatever happens, I'm just rolling with the punches here.
Absolutely. So when you all were getting into starting the band and everything, tell me about that. Tell the Metal Forge listeners and viewers out there, like, how did you all come about? Because it looks like you two have pretty much been there the entire time.
Almost. So Dave started this band with his wife, who's our drummer. That's Car Rose. Sweetest little sprinkled in pixie dust until she gets behind the kit.
I love it.
And so
Black Rose signifying rebirth. And also Rose alludes to their last name of Rosenfeld. So they had the band going for a little while before me with a different lineup. That lineup was problematic. It didn't work out. And so from that, Dave was ready to hang up the dream kind of altogether. And me, 2 hours south of him in South Jersey, I was feeling the same way. I was not having good experiences with bands. And I was just ready to give it all up. I was like, I'm either going to do my own thing. Or I'm just not going to do anything. I'm probably just not going to do anything. And I'm just going to continue on my life. Well, we have a mutual friend who knew him, knew me, and she really insisted that we meet each other and give it one last hurrah before, we try and hang it up. And I met with him and Karen, and they were just so good to me. And we just had instant chemistry and hit it off. And so from that, we started writing music almost immediately. Well, no, actually, we started writing immediately, taking it a day at a time. And then as far as the rest of the lineup, we went through a few guitar players, a few bassists. Michele Mayhem, our bass player, she's fantastic. I absolutely adore her, and I'm so happy that she's part of this group. She was an original member of the band, but she left because of the problematic band members from before. So she came back around once I was in the band, and we had our thing going, and we met, and she felt at ease about coming back into this project. So we got her back. She's been phenomenal. And then Eric was the last piece to our puzzle, another phenomenal musician. He's just that guitarist that it just looks so cool on stage and so smooth and makes it look so easy. And him and Dave work really well together, which, as you know, with guitarists, you put two of them in the same group and it's either a fight to the death or it's perfect harmony. And these two are
Yes.
perfect harmony. So I'm really happy to have him. He was a friend of Dave's that, again, he liked the situation, felt at ease, and we kidnapped him. So he's not allowed to leave, but
Hell yeah.
he was our last puzzle
Well,
piece.
and me being a bass player that learned on guitar originally, and I know exactly what you're talking about there. You have to have that perfect guitar duo. And I have a thrash band, and it's always been a power trio. Okay. It's always been Motorhead till dead kind of thing. And so Motorhead got to get that 10-year grace period of where they had a 4-person lineup. And every time I've tried to introduce that 4-person lineup, it's never worked out with the guitar player. Like, the previous guy just like gets pissed off and quits. It's like, well, I guess you got the gig then. But no, so but when you deal with problematic members, and there's so many people out there, and that's the unfortunate thing today, is there's just, and Dave, I can relate with you wanting to hang it up. Same thing, Bree, with you. I did that one time in my life, and it was just like I went about 9 months, and I felt like I went crazy not having a band to play in. And I think a lot of people, they're just with how everybody's so plugged into the network now, it's easier to find out about people,
right?
At least, it's like, fucking steer clear away from that person, because we might, it's not that we might not necessarily meet eye to eye, but you can see the kind of stuff that like they post. And it's like, do you really want to be involved with it? 15, 20, and 30 years ago, we didn't have that. You actually had to meet in the room and play together. And we were like, you know what? You're a dick.
Yep. Yep. And you had to say it to each other's face.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
So Dave, what's your story here? Tell me about your guitaring, and because like I said, I get to see the pictures of you playing the big double neck on stage.
Yeah. So
like, how much does that weigh? First off, it's got to be like 12 pounds.
Not bad at all.
Oh, good question.
It's balanced, so it's I use a thicker strap, so it's not really a problem at all. And it's great when we break it out. People go nuts over it. Younger kids,
I'm sure.
Oh, what's that? And everybody else is like, Zeppelin, So
yeah. Well, there's a band in Pennsylvania. I believe they're in Philly. They're called Legendary. And they actually they're a 3-piece, but they both play double necks.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
What?
And they traveled down to like Hell's Heroes this past year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's just like they're both, it's like the old picture of Rush on 2112 where Geddy's playing it and Alex is playing it too, and it's so cool.
That's cool.
But I continue.
I'm gonna have to check them out.
So for me, I played when I was younger. I was in I played everything from Yes, King Crimson to heavier stuff. Had kids, all that, and then my son was around 16. He told me he wanted to be a rock and roll drummer, so I formed a band, and he was my drummer. We opened up for Lita Ford, Slaughter, LA Guns. We played festivals. My close buddy JD from Black Label Society taught him bass for a while, and actually got him back into college and doing that. But I got dragged back into music, and it's been an amazing ride ever since. Ups and downs, but it's been very, very cool, and it's a big part of who I am.
that perfect thing right there. What you said, your son was 16, he wanted to be a rock and roll drummer, so you started the band with him. You know, there's so many cool people who have done that. Zetro Souza from Exodus did the exact same thing with Cody and Nick, his sons. You
Right.
know, when they wanted to start getting into playing music because they saw what he did with Exodus, you know. But like there's so many cool moments like that. And that's the moment right there when I'm a show promoter and when I'm trying to play shows where I've sit there and said, you know, that's like trying to play all ages shows is for that reason.
Right.
Because there's no new 40-year-olds coming out to bars. And I've said this until I'm blue in the face on the show here, but it's like, but it's the truth. You and your 16-year-old son found a way to bond with rock and heavy music. And you know, not to mention, you know, his friends that were coming out to shows and stuff like that.
And it's continued because now when he went to college, my wife is my drummer. So we dragged her into it.
Absolutely. And that's amazing, you know, that that you have that you have this infrastructure to be able to do that. You know, so like for me, and I don't know how your music upbringing is, Bree. We can get to that here in just a second too. But like for me, I'm the other than my mom who sang, like I was the only musician in the house. So,
Me too. Absolutely.
so yeah. What about you, Bree? What did you get into? How did you get into, you know, obviously I think if you're just a vocalist, which do you play anything?
I play piano and guitar.
Hell yeah.
But I always say I'm not a guitarist, I'm not a pianist. I'm a singer who happens to play guitar, piano. I did grow up around music. Both my parents gigged, but my mom, being the mother of the family, didn't work out. Between the two of them, she was the one that had to stay home with the kids, and my dad gigged. He was a drummer. He was a singer, the lead singer, but also the drummer. So he had the little Britney Spears headpiece, you know, behind the kit.
Sounds like Don
And,
Henley. Your dad's Don Henley?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then he when I was in my teens, he joined a country band, and then he started playing guitar as the lead singer. My brother played
Your
guitar.
dad
All our
is
friends
Don
played
Henley,
something.
isn't it?
My dad, yeah, he's a jerk too. But he was, I mean, he was a really good musician. You know, I grew up very fortunate in being that kid that was watching The Simpsons while listening to, you know, a very soft guitar strumming behind me from the couch. You know, it was my mother is from California, Los Angeles, and that's the Spanish side of my family. And my grandpa Carlos played Spanish style guitar. When he played, it sounded like three different people playing. You know, he was very, very talented. Just everybody on both sides of my family played. So I grew up in it. When I was in elementary school, I wanted to play the clarinet because I didn't want to play drums or guitar because my dad and my brother did. So I wanted to do my own thing, and I played clarinet.
Sure.
And I was really good at it. I actually wrote my first song on a clarinet. But then I realized it's just a really disgusting instrument. So I switched to piano. And then I played piano up until high school. I wasn't in the high school band or anything, but I was in high school choir. And I did piano up until that piano teacher, that was as far as she could teach me. And then I just never went to a new, more advanced instructor. I was in high school, so I was a little shit. And so I did my choir and I did my art classes because I draw and I paint and I'm creative that way. I loved writing and I wrote poetry. I was very introverted, so I took out this what's now musical artistry. I was taking that out in drawing and painting and poetry because I was very introverted. So then I graduated high school and I went into the Army for just over 13 years. And then when I got out, I was medically retired, and music is what I found my way back to. It was actually a really cool story how I got into this, because when my husband and I got together 10 years ago, I wasn't performing. I never saw myself as like being a front person, being on a stage, being the center of attention. But him and I got married and I knew that I could sing. And my dad's not in my life anymore. no good, very bad man. Hasn't been in my life for many years. So in lieu of being walked down the aisle, I thought to myself, why don't I sing my way down the aisle? So the new A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper had just come out at the time, and I heard a song on the soundtrack called "Is That All Right?" and it made me cry while I was at work sitting at a computer, and I was like, oh my god, this is the one. I was terrified to do it, but I did it. So the DJ, it was a surprise to everybody, sang my way down the aisle to my husband. So from there, I started doing open mics at the. By the way, we got married in a brewery with like ale horns, and I had deer sheds in my bouquet and pumpkins everywhere, and there was like 55 people there. It was very intimate.
Absolutely.
A lot of beer. Hey, yes, yes. So after our wedding, I started doing open mics, and I was still petrified. But the more I started doing it, people started inviting me into their groups, into their bands. I got invited into a studio to go record a couple songs, and it just took off from there. And I realized I was like, what used to be a debilitating fear turned into my safe place. I'm safe on stage. And just my personality, who I am, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I ride motorcycles. I march to the beat of my own drum. And rock and roll is that lifestyle. And I just live that shit every day. And I pass that on to my kids too. My daughter, I took her to her first open mic a couple weeks ago, and we sang a Paramore song together. And it was just the moment that I had always wanted with my father. I was able to make that moment with my own kid. And so much like, Dave found his flame, his lust for music in doing that with his son. I'm just really lit up about finding that with my daughter, and I have a son also who wants to learn to play guitar and sing. So, my musical journey has been really up and down and crazy, and I found my way around, and now it's such a huge part of who I am that I can't even deny it anymore. It's for a long time I did
amazing.
I can't even deny it anymore. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I live that rock and roll stuff, and not in a harmful way. Some people take that shit into a weird place, and but I don't. It's all about, like you said, sticking it to the man, living to your own standards, not conforming if it conflicts with your personal beliefs and your individuality. Like, I'm not about that anymore. I'm not about being a doormat anymore. And so that's something that I hang on to. Now music is just where I'm able to be myself and really be expressive. And you know what? I found the perfect band to do that with, because these guys just let me have that artistic freedom, and they don't try to rein me in. They don't try to commercialize me. They just let me be me, and we just jive together and make really honest, authentic songs.
And I think that's what it's all about, is being authentic. And, Lemmy said one time, he probably said more than one time actually, but you know what I mean, about, no matter what, that like in Motorhead, they might not be all honest people in their normal day-to-day lives. We all do our things. We all have our things that our vices and shit like that. But once your feet hit that stage, if you're not telling the truth 100% that you're just not, the fans will see through it, and you can't have that. And honestly, that's an amazing thing to have, that you can actually that you can share that with your children, with your daughter, and hopefully your son doing his thing with playing guitar and things, and and singing and whatnot.
In the 90s, dude, kids were allowed to sit at the bar. You know what I mean? It's not like it is today. So I'm eating chicken tenders at the bar at 10 o'clock at night, watching my dad gig. I grew up in that scene. So, my kids aren't sitting at the bar eating chicken tenders these days, but any gig that I can bring them to, they go to. I expose them to that stuff. And when we go to a show and we play a show and somebody brings their teenage daughter to me and was like, she wants to meet you, and she wants to be a singer one day, and like, you're being a role model, that shit like hits. Like, it was a really unexpected positive consequence of being a front woman in a hard rock band. You know what I mean? We can still be feminine and be who we are, but it's okay to have aggressive or masculine kind of qualities to us and just like live freely the way that we want to and be our own individual. And that's so important, I think, for teenage girls, because I have a 14-year-old and it is I watch everything I do or say because I want to be a good example for her. But that goes for anybody in the audience. To be a role model for young girls, like in music, is just really a privilege.
And yeah, absolutely. Because even in my power doom band, we have a female vocalist, and she, Zeba, she is totally that person as well. Like anybody that comes up, she is 100% real with and everything. And it's totally cool to have that as a part in a band, because there's so, especially like being in a band that's like a thrash, like my thrash band, like I'm talking about, I don't possibly ever look the most like approachable person in a band, because I'm fucking broad shouldered and bearded and long hair. And I look like I will probably kick somebody's ass or whatever, but like, that's not the case. And I think having those moments to be able to reassure with fans, and especially young fans, people finding their way in life, just out and about and everything. So while we're here this week, we've got some new music coming out, or that has just recently come out. Hail to the Rebel Queen, right? Or just actually, it's just Hail the Rebel Queen.
Yes.
Right, because
yes.
I think my email said hail to the, like that, but no, but it's Hail the Rebel Queen. It's been out since the 29th of May. Tell me about the process. When you said you started writing immediately when you all first got together, and that's an amazing deal. So like, as you've grown as a band, now you're putting this out, tell me about it. Like, Dave, when
it was
Bree, how did you all do the process?
I think the live performances had a lot to do with the growth. We wrote the songs, we rewrote the songs, and they had a life of their own.
Sure.
So I think the recording process really was about 1.5 years, 2-year process to really get it the way we wanted.
Like 3 years, Dave. Recording.
Well, yeah. So it really grew and had a life of its own.
Yeah, it was a really unorthodox process. Like I said, we were taking it a day at a time. We didn't know what to expect. But what we did know is that the person who brought us together scheduled us for a show. So we had to get our shit together. So we started writing. Like we said before, Dave is sending me demos. I'm sending him demos. We're writing to each other's shit, coming back together on it and pulling our hair out and banging our heads against the wall, and then coming out with these awesome songs that really grew from the live performances. We played so many live shows. Really, who we are was built on those live shows. And they just further developed, which was also how we were able to decide what songs were going to make the album. The crowd told us what they wanted, and what just really organically developed into a show is what we recorded. So once we got into the studio, we were able to further develop, because now we got this third person ear. It's a different set of ears on these songs. Once you get into the studio, you're overthinking everything and rethinking everything. And not that we were ever chasing perfection, because we weren't. We just wanted it to be authentic and true to what we wanted it to be as far as our sound and the statement we were making.
Yeah.
That makes sense. There are flaws in there. There's a lot of vocal flaws in there, and I left that shit in there because I'm not trying to be super polished and super layered and super this and that. Like, I want people to go to one of our shows and be like, wow, they sound the same live as they do on the album, or even better, so
sure.
I just wanted to make sure that compositionally everything was there, that we wanted to be there, and that it flowed. And our producer was so great with us, and we just really challenged each other back and forth, got outside of our box, and just really put things in there that just elevated what we already knew was great songs, but we just elevated it once we got into the studio. And I am just so excited for everyone, especially everybody who's come out to our shows and seen us and heard us play, and they rocked out with us and jammed out with us. been like,
Yeah,
this
for
song's
sure.
so cool, or that song's so cool. But now it's going to be recorded for them to listen to whenever they want and crank their speakers. Summer is upon us. Open your windows, turn up the bass in your
Max
speakers
volume.
and just crank that shit and just put it on your headphones in the gym. Like, I'm so stoked for people to absorb this album.
You know, and I think a lot of people don't understand you said that it took about a year and a half to 2 years. Bree, you corrected, it's like more like 3 years. And yeah, because I don't think a lot of people that like are not musicians, the ones who the ones who just listen to music, they don't really play or anything, real fans and connoisseurs and stuff like that, that why does it take so long for bands to release albums? You know, well, I think when you're in a regional level, and you know, I think you get caught up in the shows. You
Right.
get, you know, you when you're young, you tend to bang out as much stuff as you can. You know, you set those goals, but as you get older, you know, you get more, yeah, you might have more shows that you've planned. You've got more touring and stuff. You might play different cities more, you know, and that makes it harder to do, especially when you've got like a day job and stuff like that, and you're traveling to a studio or you live 2 hours apart from one another.
Exactly.
Because the Power Doom band, that's how we are. We all live 2 hours apart from one another. And like myself and the drummer can ride together, but the vocalist has to come from a different direction, and we got to meet at somebody's house. So, so yeah, you get caught up in doing all of that. And I think that's what music is today.
Yeah.
And as for the moment where you said that, you know, the imperfections being on there and it not being too polished. Well, I mean, for me, I mean, I like that quality in a band, because let's face it, even bands like Metallica leave that stuff in certain places. You know, like there might be a scream that got picked up from like a room over in a microphone that's in the background of a song that you can hear in headphones, not necessarily in the stereo mix like that in the room, but it might be there. That's why I say about like Saint Anger is a different album if you listen to it through headphones, because you get all these other little nuances and weird, like weird goofy shit that happens.
And I want it, so like to talk about like from a vocal perspective with the recording, aside from listening to it with a new set of ears, it was just such a cool challenge for me, because I'm, you know, I would re-sing, retrack the stems a lot, and not because I was chasing perfection, but because it was this continuing chase to connect with my song and to, you know, make or let organic moments happen so that that can be on record, because that's what I want these songs to feel like. You're at a show, not super produced and polished, but I want you to feel like you're at a show where, you know,
Yeah, you want the emotion to be
you're going to hear
conveyed.
flaws and the emotions and the telling of the story, any voice crack or maybe a distortion that I didn't intend, or just a maybe R&B style riff that I threw in there just because that's what I was feeling at the moment. Like I wanted it to be a really authentic vocal recording, because I take pride in our live shows, you know. So that was, as far as the vocal recording process, that was really important to me. And you know, like I said, I would repeat stems so that I could capture those moments instead of sounding too deliberate.
Well, and to me, it's like I do that same thing as a vocalist, in both of the two bands. But like for me, as I do it as well to not only be able to connect with the song, but to be able to, if this is my idea, but if this doesn't work, I have something else that I can listen to and fall back on. I can change the melody if I want, and it work in the constraints of whatever. Or it's like, I like this part of this version, I like this part of this version, and then I can do that. And then that's just like learning how to be a better writer, I think, is just
It does.
even
It does push you
and
to
a
be.
better performer. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. But and going back to what you were saying about, your average person who doesn't play, who isn't a musician, and they just enjoy music, there's a reason, there's a distinction called recording artist, recording musician, studio musician. Like those labels are there for a reason, because it is a different animal. Going into a studio and recording, I mean, it's not like going live and you just get to have fun and go through it, and whatever happens happens. It's a process. There's a lot of stops, there's a lot of repetition, there's a lot of collaborating and brainstorming happen. And so they're two different sets of ears, as I call it, your studio versus your live. So consistency is really important.
So the real question here is, if you had to choose one or the other, if you only could ever record again for the rest of your life, or only play live for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Live all day long.
Yeah, well, live, absolutely.
Hell yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I'm there too, because hey, you can always record a live show. Unleashed in the East is an amazing live show, which the vocals are redubbed on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was so roached out on that tour that he came back to the States, and a month after he took a month break and came back and sang the entire show in one take to the music.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. Crazy shit how that works. So a couple studio questions, because fun studio questions. What was the best song to record?
Oh wow. For me, I think it's Dead Man Running. Okay. The song has got a real AC/DC vibe. It just cuts right through. But to be honest with you, all just really great standalone songs. But that one I got to really rip on a solo, and also Burn It Down. I released a little of my Skinner with some power behind it.
All right. Bree, what for you?
Yeah, for me, I think I don't know that I have a favorite that I recorded, but I could tell you my most challenging would have been Dead Man Running, and my least challenging would have been Burn It Down. Burn It Down was one where I was just able to have fun, and that was actually a short day. It was pretty straightforward. Dead Man Running was vocally very challenging. I think that one I actually recorded twice. And
so do you get frustrated when if you don't get a part, and you have to go through a part like 3 or 4 or 5, when you're doing take after take? I mean, because obviously we're human. We always want to try to get it the best first time, but that's not always the case. It's going to happen. And I've spent, 30s and 40s of takes and stuff in the studio. So it sounds like that Burn It Down was that day in the studio where you just were hitting on all cylinders. You went in, you had the idea, and you knew what was up.
Everything went well. Yeah. So Dead Man Running was vocally the most challenging. Winner's Circle, I think, was the most challenging as far as like vocal composition. There was actually the bridge part in Winner's Circle was added right there in the studio in one take. That was one of those adjustments that we just made on the fly that we fell in love with. But I will tell you, it is not easy to sing when I'm getting there at 11 o'clock, we'll say, in the morning, which is early for rock songs, any song really, let alone a rock song. And so it would take even just a lot of takes before I'm even warmed up, because I'm stubborn and I don't usually warm up before I go. But those performances and those high notes, I'm telling, were fueled by Gentleman Jack. My producer kept them right on a particular shelf. And if it took me more than 2 or 3 takes to get something, I'm like, where's the Jack? And I'll sip on Gentleman Jack through that recording that recording process that day, and it loosens me up. It soothes the throat. It gets me. It fast forwards me to, you know, that 5 o'clock where my vocals are warmed up, ready to fucking go. Because I would be struggling sometimes, or maybe I had a late night the night before, and that affects the vocals, whatever, what have you. So sometimes it could be a real challenge, and then sometimes, you know, it was like, man, we're really batting 1,000 today. Let's just keep going. Let's try this. Let's try this. And that was the other thing that makes it challenging in recording is like, I will be playing around with so many different harmonies that like I'm getting tired trying to figure out the ad libs and harmonies that I want on this. You know what I mean? So like to record more of the main song, like I'm already wearing myself out with that. So it was just a lot of trial and error and process of elimination. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Dave does in the guitars that I don't hear live, but in the recording I hear it. So I end up and this is just kind of a Black Rose thing where his guitars and my vocals, like we sing intertwining with each other through a lot of the songs.
I think that's
Especially
most bands. I know that's how I know that's how my bands usually are.
Like
no, like I purposefully write that way too, is what I mean. What I'm saying.
They like, and not, I'm not talking like melodies and stuff, just stuff that I do with my vocals that he's doing with the guitar. Like we tend to kind of be symmetrical with each other, and dance around each other, if that makes sense. Like especially in the outro of like Affliction and some bridges and stuff like that. Because yes, lead guitar, you know, that does help with my melody, but I mean specifically the riffs and notes that he's hitting on. It changes the way I sing songs or sing maybe a harmony in a song when I can hear it in the studio. So that's just a really nice, you know, harmony chemistry thing that we have that I was able to experiment with and explore in the studio that I didn't really have live because, you know, it's a different environment and my ears are tuned differently on a live stage versus in a studio where I hear every little thing. So yeah, it was definitely such a different process for me and my brain wrapping around that process.
Definitely. So going in, it's already the middle of 2026. We're already almost halfway through this year. And by the time this is released, it already will be after halfway through. So what are the goals for the rest of the year? What do we got coming up from June until December?
Booking shows, playing shows is definitely you know, going to be a huge thing for us. Filming another music video. We have 2. We have another song that we just cannot wait to put a video to because we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, and just getting out and doing as many interviews and FaceTime with other human beings as we possibly can.
Yeah, because I get that because that's, you know, we're all people and we, you know, living in a life, you know, where you just go to work and go home, you know, doing things like this, going to shows, you know, seeing people out, you know, do anything and just, have as much FaceTime with other people as you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not,
it's all
not
about the human
FaceTime
connection
in the sense of the phone FaceTime
right
either.
Right.
Face to face time.
Definitely. What about you, Dave? What do you got? What's your goals for the rest of the year?
I definitely want to play some more live shows. We took a little bit of a back seat to get the album all finished up and ready to roll. We've got a lot of offers, so just kind of looking to see where we can place them and how to do them. I want to continue to write and grow the band. But as I said, live shows, that's where I live.
Hell yeah, I dig it. So I want to ask you a couple of general profile questions about you all as people. You know, that's one of the things, like I said at the beginning of the show, we all come together for the music and the art and all of that stuff here. The music and just being a person, getting that FaceTime, as we said. What do you love to do for other people?
Oh, I'm a dentist on the side. And I come from a background where I was homeless and worked my way up. I lost my parents early both from lung cancer. So I really connect with people and have a different kind of perspective. So I don't take anything for granted. So every interaction, every day, about 10 years ago, I had a major heart attack and coded. So every day is a delight. Every breath is important. So yeah, I just want to enjoy that and bring that to as many people as I can.
Definitely. And I know that that's, we all go through the times where we just sit there and get so frustrated with just the flat tire or whatever. And, it's like the minor inconveniences, especially when something like that happens, if you code and stuff. And I've always heard that there's like always, if you survive it, there's always two ways it goes. Either you every day is a blessing, or you are a complete bastard.
No, for me, I had an experience where I was actually watching them work on me from above, and
Oh,
that
wow.
that just changed my whole perspective on life, and how much of a gift it is. It's so fleeting.
That's wild. That's an interesting experience. I had that happen at a concert that I passed out at one time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, where like and I'll tell you, it was Ozfest in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the year 2000 of our Lord, as they would say, our Lord Ozzy Osbourne, and it was always all Ozfest was always rain or shine,
Right.
and it was like monsoon season at the beginning of August that year. And the where the side stage was, they had it was on blacktop.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it just got so humid around like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. And as we're sitting there, and they had the Jim Rose Circus. If you're familiar with what the Jim Rose Circus was, where people eating glass and all kinds of stuff, like putting like the stuff through their nose, like that's like all the way back, all kinds of weird shit. And it's like hot and just like, wow, this is not right. And out like a light,
Oh
and
wow.
then just seeing the tops of people's heads.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And it was so wild to me. And like, yeah, I totally get you. uh Bree, what do you like to do for others as well?
I volunteer a lot, especially with veterans. And I like to, I mean, I volunteer at my kids' school whenever they need help. I just like to let people know that somebody is there for them. Um, when I was in the service, I worked a lot with special victims. I think everybody knows what that means, so I don't have to go too much detail there. And so I carried that work with me on the outside too, where and it's not something that I ever talk about or share, but there have certainly been quite a few instances in the last few years where a DV victim or a special victim of some type somewhere in my life has needed a place to stay, or has needed groceries, or has needed something. And I am the first person, like I will fight to the death against that stuff with zero fear. I will drive to a lady's house and pick her up in my truck and put her stuff in my truck and let that man watch me do it. And you know what I mean? Like I just I feel like I've become this very fierce protector over those who can't protect themselves. Um so that, in addition to, like I said, I just do a lot of volunteering with veterans and with kids. That pretty much fills my time when I'm not doing music and stuff like that. That's where I found fulfillment and purpose, besides music.
Hell yeah, that's amazing. And yes, as we live in a society where so many things are being unjustly canceled and taken away, and like I always sit there and say, like, if especially in my area, I don't know how it is there, but like, I always remember, we used to have like you know like elder care, like adult
Mm-hmm.
services and things like that. If somebody was elderly and, you know, didn't have like a family member or something that you'd call adult, you know, like adult protective services or whatever, and they would go out. But it's like, you know, that's even a thing of the past now in a lot of places. So being a volunteer for stuff like that, that's amazing. And I think, you know, more people should do it. And the thing is, I don't think a lot of people know how, because it's such a thing that
Yeah, I think
is a
it's
day gone by kind of thing.
mhm. Yeah, somewhere along the line we kind of lost that human connection where we take care of each other. And now it's just like you don't even think about others and what you can do for
There it
them
is.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah,
That's
that
it. That's
connection
how we lost
there
that human
kind of just
connection.
like severed the real authentic human connection. And now, you know, people just grow up and they never even think about volunteering for different stuff. We didn't even call it volunteering. Once upon a time, it was just a way of life. You helped each other out, right?
Helping.
So I think
Yeah, it was
we
just,
just got to do better about taking care of each other for sure.
you're absolutely right. I believe I saw something about that the other day where somebody had said, you know, we traded off our neighborhoods for computer screens.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And that's so hard to deal with. What is the most unpopular opinion you have?
Oh, I know I have one. Hold on, let me dig it out.
I think if I want to go with one music related right now, is I think people who bitch about bands who play to click tracks, and they bitch about it like, oh, there's some kind of unprofessional band or whatever. I think you should just leave them the fuck alone, because they're doing their thing.
Yeah, that's wild that people would gripe about that. I mean, it's actually a professional kind of thing to
Yeah, I
have a
mean,
metronome to
backing
ensure
tracks, even leave them alone.
leave them
You know,
alone.
yeah, leave them alone. You enjoy the music, and hey, it's all about the experience, right?
That's
It's
it.
all about
Yeah.
going to the show and experiencing, you know, these cool songs. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. What do y'all got? Dave, Brianna, Bree, what do you have?
Um, Most unpopular opinion. Uh, Gosh, Dave, have you thought of anything? I
Yeah.
know I got some in here.
In today's world, a lot of people like do not like having to sell tickets or do that, and it's a whole thing. And I personally, from a business standpoint, I don't really have a problem with it. I can understand venues wanting to make sure that when they can actually be a viable business, and I think it's a relationship between the band and the promoter, and it can benefit everybody. That is not a wildly popular belief between a lot of bands who just want to be able to run in and play and just do that and that's it. So that's where I set myself apart a little bit.
I have a
I
strong
have a
opinion
few.
on that too.
Yeah, I have a few unpopular opinions in different aspects of life, but I think the biggest elephant in the room for me is AI. I hate it in all of its forms. And I think that was the wrong direction for society was to have AI. The flyers, the just the I mean, people are making music with it, they're making flyers with it, they're making videos with it, they're doing everything except putting in the work. And I think AI is even more destructive than social media was. It's social media. It's like social media was venom and AI is carnage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like um people have their opinions on AI and if it's beneficial and all this kind of stuff. I hate all of it and I wish it never happened.
No, I can get behind that as well. I just recently made a post about, I saw an AI flyer for a venue that I know for a fact doesn't even accept credit cards. And to me, that is amazing, because you're using this crazy technology to create a flyer for this hole in the fucking wall. Excuse me, this hole in the wall that is like doesn't even take credit cards, and their ATM charges like $7.50 as a
Wow.
fee.
So
Yeah.
they're living in 2001, huh?
Yes, they are. Yes, they
Oh
are. And it's
man.
like, what in the hell, bar? And it's
Yeah,
like, I
I
know they
mean,
didn't make the flyer, but whoever the band was playing on it did. And, you know, so AI on stuff like that, I no, totally against it. Do I think it could be used as a tool to some degree? Yes, if it were maintained well enough and it were not if it were not thieving from, if it was pulling from its own source database and wasn't compiling this image from Mont Doom and this image from Pusshead and this image from Joe Pentagono and all these other artists on just an image for one, not to mention all of the music that gets made that way. But I almost think too that like on the AI deal with making music, was it something that they just found a way to automate a process that they were already punching in like EDM back in the day when they were using things like Fruity Loops, and you're manually going in and clicking the mouse for each little note in MIDI? It's like they just basically found a way to automate the process and let it learn from itself and just compiled all of this. Oh, it's like, well, not only learn, it's like data from the next generation. You know, he's constantly learning.
I think it depends on how you use it also, right? If you have a song that you're working through, right, and you're doing, and you want to hear what it sounds to have a vocal line or have something, and you're putting in to get an idea of something you've already done, that's one thing. If you're asking it, hey, write me a song about
Yeah, that's something.
that's
Yeah,
where
that's completely different.
because when you go into a producer, the producer's going to add his ideas and his feelings on that. So you can try test on what it would sound like if I did it this way. What would it sound like if I did that way? And then go back and re-record it or do what have you. But I don't believe in having it write the songs or write the
Oh, hell
lyrics.
no. I don't agree with it. And honestly, I think aside from the flyering and the writing of music, I think it's just as bad when people are like the deep fakes.
mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's almost the worst of it, because now you can have a video of somebody saying or doing something and not know if it's real
Right.
because it's so good. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson posted that where there's a video of him saying something and he just pulls a phone back and said, I never said that. This is an AI video of me. And it's like, wow, things are weird that way these days. And it's like, are we even ready for that as a society, as Bree said? And I don't think so.
No, and not even to mention, like, people don't think about where's the AI coming from. You're wiping out, listen, I grew up on a farm, so I'm a little partial here, but you're wiping out acres and acres of beautiful land to build these giant data centers that are guzzling your community's water so you can make a fucking meme about your dog. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where my brain is
It's
at. Like,
not
I
even
don't
the
like
dog.
any of it.
It's not even the dog. It's mostly just like the goofiness of it. You know, it's just like
I love
it.
shit posting like the next person, but go into Canva, go into Pixel Cut, go into an app and make the shit yourself again, like we
Yeah,
did,
that's what I
a
do.
couple years
All
ago.
of them,
You know what I'm
pretty much all of the
saying?
memes that I share, if they're not already created, I make them myself. You know, like
Yeah.
just because I make like I have the access to it here because I make the thumbnails for the show. I just use the same program.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
as for Dave, your unpopular opinion about ticket sales, and okay, so I have very strong opinion on this too, because I started promoting shows in the days of we want you to have 4 bands. Your show is at 9 to 1 in the morning. Okay. And so 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. You book 4 bands, you know, here's 200 tickets. They're $10, you know, base price is $10 a piece. And where I always tried to be that promoter, like the club would always split the ticket cost. So like out of every ticket, say if it was a $10 ticket, if you know, say it was a 70-30 split, the club took 70 and or whatever, the club took 30%. And it's just like, okay, well, as a promoter, then you work that other percentage out with the bands.
Right.
But like that to me is totally acceptable. But to sit there and say you have to produce $500 of ticket sales or you can't play.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Right.
You know, that's like, what the fuck? You know, I'm not doing this for that. But like if you're asked to sell tickets to like to have to a show and your pay is dependent upon that,
right?
But you're not required to. You just know that, hey, if you only sell one ticket, you're only going to make $7 or whatever. So
right. I don't know. For
you put in the legwork.
Yeah, but promoters, if someone says to me, look, we can do a show. Can you at least sell? Usually it's like, can you at least sell X amount of tickets? I'm like, yeah, no problem. If I can't, I won't take that show because you're going to get known as a band that can't produce what they want to produce.
Exactly.
And I usually tell them, listen, I can do X, and then we do double X. So at least it's like, oh, that band will do it, you know? So it's a business. It's an unfortunate thing. The same thing goes with touring. When you're out on touring, before everybody got paid, now everything's a buy on because the bigger bands want to make money. And if you're not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it.
Exactly. Like a lot of the Wimmer festivals, Rockville, Louder Than Life, you know, a lot of those, they're you know, a lot of those bands are paying to get onto those 7th and 8th stages now, that playing on playing at noon on a Thursday, you know, the first day of the festival, first band of the festival kind of thing, you know, and because that's the game. And honestly, you know, I think a lot of that started when, like, especially like, and I mentioned it earlier, Ozfest,
right?
Because a lot of those bands, yes, you know, for if like or hate Sharon Osbourne, she has done a lot for and against music.
Right.
You know, in breaking a lot of bands, yeah, totally cool. In the methods in which it was happening, not so cool sometimes. But, you know, here we are today.
Yeah.
And so anyway, before we go, I've got one more question. But as always, like, share, follow, do the things, do the stuff, see shows, go buy merch, go buy albums, stream, download, you know, purchase whatever you can, do the thing, enjoy it most of all, because that's what matters, that you found a new band to get into. And that's one of the things that I've always strived with bringing this show to the forefront, you know, of the last 7 years, is doing this and bringing bands to people, because, hey, everybody's people and we all kick ass in our own way. Some of us suck, but, you know, that's not a lot. You know, there's more of us that are cool than the ones that suck, I think.
Right.
So do you all have any shout outs or anybody else you'd like to promote, or any, I think I said that backwards even. Do you have anything else you would like to promote, or any shout outs for anyone?
Well, for us, you could just follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And the album's coming out the 29th, and you can download it on all the streams. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody who's been in my life musically that's helped me get to where I'm at now.
Hell yeah. Bree?
Yeah, I just want to echo that sentiment. You know, I there's a lot of people out there that I could attribute this where I'm at in life to, and I want to thank them, especially my husband, who is my absolute ride or die. He's our roadie, he's our merch man, he's my shoulder to cry on, and
You got
my
a Hoochie
wine
Daddy merch
delivery
guy
too. Yeah, he's he let me borrow his motorcycle for our music video because his are cooler than mine. And you know, he's just the most supportive guy in the world. He's my muse for one of our songs, and you know,
I can't wait for everyone to hear it on March 29th. And you can also pre-save it by going to the link in our bio on socials. And shortly after May 29th, we'll have our first music video dropping. So keep your eyes out and ears out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So on our way out today, the final question, and this is something that I've really started to think about a lot as I've gotten older and, and watching the way society has started to not necessarily crumble, but like become more distant from one another is mental health, you know, and it's something that we all struggle with. And Bree, you being a veteran and everything, doing things like that and thank you for your service, by the way, as well, is like, what is mental health to you? How do you maintain?
Well, that journey and figuring out that question really fueled this album, honestly, because I went through a lot. That it wasn't mental health wasn't something that was really, addressed growing up. Not until recent years did we take it seriously, start putting names to things, start being more accommodating and accepting of each other for those things. And I, had a hard time with stuff like bullying and low self-esteem, that kind of stuff growing up. So to be able to do this music, to tell my stories in a place where I now no longer let that stuff consume me, it's just it's unreal. It's not something that I imagined like 5 years ago. If you're like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would never have said here right now doing this. And it's just such an important thing, especially as a mom who's raising a 14-year-old girl and an 8-year-old son. Teaching those kids that it's okay to have feelings, to express them, and to take your anxiety seriously. Yeah, we got to toughen up here and there, but it's not just like this one-way street where we have to be this person all the time. Teaching them about mental health, and I'm finally in a place where I'm accepting my mental health struggles, getting help for that. I lost a very dear friend to mental health battles. He was part of that 22 a day statistic, somebody that I served with overseas. And he, a couple years ago, decided that enough was enough. And so I take it very seriously, and I take it very personally. You know what I mean? So a lot of what
For
I
sure.
do is in memory for those individuals, and, keeping myself on the right track for my family and for this newfound purpose of helping others and providing music that can help others.
Hell yeah. Dave, what you got? How about you? What's mental health to you, Dave?
I've been on my own since I was 17 years old. I've got scars up and down from things I've dealt with in the past. Thank goodness at this point in my life, I am in a very stable relationship with my wife, the drummer. And I live in the mountains, which is my sanctuary. So I am a mountain dude. Uh,
Hell
it's
yeah.
really a part of my soul. So thank goodness I'm there for people and can talk to them because I've been through so much in my life. But thank God I've come to a point right now where it's really a stable and endearing environment. So it's helped me be able to, a lot of the songs I write and how I write, I draw from stuff in the past, but then I can walk away from it and say, all right, it's done. And I can go back to kind of being who I am at this point. You know, um,
Hell yeah.
as I said, I'm a dentist on the side, so I get to treat a lot of people who are very nervous and have had some really bad experiences, and they're for other people. So I'm definitely known for being able to be there for people and help people.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. And yeah, I had my dentist call this year. I had to get a couple of teeth pulled. So I was like, oh, but knock on wood for being as old as I am and not really having, for having parents that were afraid of the dentist when
Sure.
they and so it's like they didn't take their kids either because they were afraid. I'm sure you run into that
Yeah.
all the time. That's how I was raised, and it's like for that I was lucky that being 43 and actually getting a hold of my dental work and being like, well, really, you're not that bad. You
Oh,
just
good.
got you've just got a couple of cavities and these two could probably be pulled. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. and yeah, so there was a line in a movie one time. He's like, could you imagine being a dentist with your hand in a bunch of wet mouths all day?
I get that, but I also, for me, I get to change people's lives who I do a lot of
You're
cosmetic work, rehab work. I also treated a lot of the rockers in the industry, and you'd be surprised where how embarrassed they are or whatever, and they come and we do, I just did Corey Glover's teeth from Living Color for his Kimmel appearance. So
okay.
so I treat a lot of people in the industry, and people may not be where they want to be, and I help them feel comfortable getting that. So it's a great experience.
He fixed my tooth. I want to talk about that. He did. I had for years, for like, I don't know, 15, 16 years, I had a chipped tooth down here because some dude punched me in the face once upon a time and it chipped my tooth. And so, every time I feel that chipped tooth, I think about it, right? Well, Dr. Dave came in and he filled that sucker and it's holding. And I'm like, oh, that memory's like gone now. You know what I mean? It's, I do have another chipped tooth though. I tell you, I hit it on a microphone. Was it a microphone or was it a fork? It was one or the other. And I chipped, I chipped this front tooth
probably,
here.
that's probably, I don't know what's worse. I understand like getting punched in the face hurts like a son of a bitch. But when you get hit in the mouth with a microphone, I don't that is a different hurt. Like tooth hurt and like
it was a lot of hurt to my pride.
Trauma and the blunt force trauma hurts. It's two different, but like the tooth like from the microphone, I think is always worse.
Listen, you have to know Trybe. When she's out there, it's all balls out going on stage. We had a situation where
I got some big chiclets right here. They'd be getting in the way.
She wrapped her hair around the headstock in the middle of the solo.
Yeah.
So
I had dreads at the time, like 24-inch dreads. And I was whipping them suckers around and it wrapped right around his headstock. So
that's
he
one
just
thing
like
that I'm
side-eyed
always...
me and he just side-eyed me and he just keeps playing, doesn't miss a note. I got microphone in one hand. I'm untangling myself from his headstock with the other, like unraveling the spaghetti off of a fork.
Hey, that's one of the things that I've always been concerned about with the long hair is getting it caught in somebody's headstock and I move around a lot on stage too. And like this last show, one of these last shows that Ice Howl played was where Seth and I were like really close together because the stage was kind of tight. And it's like we were just knocking guitars together the whole time. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So yeah, like there was a guy that I know that had that happen with his bass player. His bass player he was probably 5'7". Okay, so he's not a tall guy, but like he played a Spectre bass, which is pretty big, and he tried to do the flip.
Oh wow.
And smacked his vocalist in the mouth with his bass. Like right here, like in the mustache.
Wow.
Yeah. No go. So Bree, Dave, Dr. Dave, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
So I am totally cool and I am digging everything that I got to listen to an advanced copy of the album. And it's just like listening to it going back in and it was like re-listening to it. I only got it a few days ago by the time we're recording this, but I'm just like, this is really good. I really like this. And this is something that like, it's like, I'm putting it on like, and it's like, I immediately went back to it. And then like on the way this morning, as I was going to a doctor appointment and I had about a half an hour drive and I'm like, bring up the email where this was again and listen again, because it's like, this is really cool. So on our way out today, I always like to play, don't know if you've got to see any other episodes in the past, hopefully so. But anyway, I always like to play a song on our way out today. So I am definitely going with Hail the Rebel Queen. Thank you all.
Absolutely. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
And metal every day, everybody.
Metal every day.
Absolutely. Have a great one, man.
He demands her roses are Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza DoNisi. Pizza DoNisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the ultimate underground metal tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza DoNisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza DoNisi at 1398 South 2nd Street, open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. In 2017, one man's vision and passion for all things metal started out as a record store in his house. Years later, the fight against a mainstream empire continues as Shadebeast. An independent metal collective and online store based in Athens, Georgia, is the world's premier heavy metal brand for music heads that value authenticity over the mainstream acceptance. Featuring original t-shirts from some of the best underground artists, as well as stickers, posters from the Shadebeast Presents concert series. Unique, one-of-a-kind collectibles and small curated selection of vinyl and cassettes from the masters old and new. Visit shadebeast.com and enter promo code SithLord for free domestic shipping on your first order, whether you're a new customer or returning. And be sure to join the Shadebeast social groups on Facebook and the interwebs to keep up with the new release announcements and talk all things metal and Star Wars. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and filth.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now.
In a broken wasteland, come to my fire and place your blood and steel upon